Hello everyone. Welcome to iExamB. Prepare 50% faster by embracing the iExamB learning experience. In this video, I am going to talk about the Phase 1 exam of SEBI Grade A 2024, the Paper 2 of General category by doing a detailed discussion on all the 50 questions that had come in the Paper 2. Right, so the exam was held on the 27th of July and we had done a short discussion related to paper 2, the short questions, quick one that we had done yesterday, and we had also done a detailed analysis of the paper 1 QRE section. So if you need to watch that again, you can refer to it. In this particular video, I am going to talk about all the 50 questions. This video has come with a little delay, but the idea was to give you the exact and as close as possible the memory-based paper for Phase 1, Paper 2 of the general stream. If I quickly revise go through what exactly was the paper level like. The paper was easy to moderate. A lot of direct questions had come from the topics given in the syllabus. Numericals were less. There were only 2 numericals, which were also very direct and easy level. So if you have been watching our videos, if you have subscribed to our channel, we have said this in a lot of videos that Phase 1 numerical is less and easy, but we can expect more numericals in the Phase 2 level. And if I talk about the iExamB course coverage, 92% of the questions were very directly covered, which is 46 questions out of 50 were there in the iExamB content. And this, I'm not just talking about the overall content, even the last revision booklets that we had given. So if you have been using iExamB course, you would be aware that we had added a revision module which consisted of revision study notes and MCQ booklets on all the subjects, companies act, costing, commerce, economics. We had a separate booklet on numericals, practice, management, finance, and even circulars based MCQs that have been added. These alone, in addition to the 300 important questions which was freely done for the YouTube viewers, also had a very good coverage. So majority of the questions were in these booklets itself, and even in the 300 important question series that Pratik sir did on the YouTube channel, approximately 10 to 11 questions have been directly coming from that also. So we continue to focus on giving you crisp content which helps you in 50% faster preparation. Let's talk about the distribution of questions. The distribution of questions was very nicely done. They more or less continued the way they have been doing in the past. As we had always said, 6 to 10 questions from each subject you can expect, and that is what it had done this time also. Minimum questions came surprisingly from accounts, and maximum questions we saw from the finance segment and Companies Act. Especially, I will say Companies Act saw a lot of coverage in this, and they touched upon all the topics, all the 7 chapters that they have mentioned, right? Numericals, as I said, there were only 2 numericals out of 50, and both these numericals were very direct and easy. One was related to quick ratio and the other was related to bonds current yield, right? So very easy and direct questions on numericals that have come. Okay, and as I stated, we have prepared the Phase 1, this is 2024 paper 1, Phase 1 paper 2 general memory based paper, which you can directly download. It is complete, all the 50 questions with 5 options correct answer mentioned to you, which we have gathered by talking to a lot of our students who have given inputs even related to the options that had come in the exam, right? Broadly, if I talk about what topics were covered, in commerce and accountancy, 6 questions that came. One was related to ratio. This was the numerical related to quick ratio. There was one question related to IND AS 36, which relates to the impairment of assets. There was a simple question related to consolidation of accounts. Basic accounting questions, there were 1 or 2 questions that were there, and 1 question each on cash flow and fund flow. From costing, 7 questions were there. More concentration was on the basics. There were 2 questions related to costing basics. One was related to the cost and one was related to the standard costing aspect. Lean systems, there were a good number of questions. Again, a topic which we kept highlighting. Please do this. We do get questions from this and these can be the easy pick for you all. Standard costing, theoretical 1 question and 1 related to ABC costing. In finance, 11 questions we saw, but they were mostly direct, easy, and very, very expected. Surprisingly, 3 questions came from the regulatory aspects, and this is one topic we had been stating so much that you should do it again and again. Different entities, different regulatory entities, bodies, what they are regulating, who they are regulating, do it very well. And I'll show you how we had done a separate activity-based class for exactly this purpose, and this had been very, very helpful. We also saw one simple question on derivatives, money market, and different other instruments. In economics, 7 questions came. Again, basic, mostly, and direct, national income related, inflation, employment related, demand related, ISLM, and perfect competition related. In Companies Act, 11 questions to the chapter of 27 related to NCLT and NCLAT. DMAT related question was there, 1 related to section 186 related to the loans that the company can give, loans and investments. Shares related 2 questions, dividend 1 question, board meeting, auditor, director. So you can see all the chapters that are mentioned in the syllabus. 1 question from each had been covered. And lastly, the management, 8 questions came here and they have covered the management basics. Leadership style, again, something which I have always said, leadership style is one of the most important thing, and you can expect 1 or 2 questions from here. HRD, human resource development, and 1 question on communications. Nothing has been asked on motivation. Expect something in phase 2 from motivation to be asked in management. So this is the broad understanding. Strategy for phase 2, what you should be doing that. We've done 1 session with our users already on Saturday. We will do 1 more workshop which is free for anybody who has given phase 1. You can join tomorrow at 6 p.m. On Monday, Pratik sir will discuss in detail the strategy for phase 2. I hope you will not be waiting for the result. 31st August is when your exam will be for phase 2, and as you are aware, for phase 1 there is a generic cutoff, not a merit base. So in case you have any confusion in the answers after looking at this memory based questions, your confusions will be away. You will know exactly if you are crossing that 40% limit to be able to eligible for phase 2. So don't waste another time and start your preparation for this. And now we will move on to the question wise discussion, that is all the 50 questions that had come in phase 2 for the general stream. So let's start with that. Right. So first we will cover the commerce and accountancy section. The first question I am discussing is the numerical that came and which was very, very easy and direct. You had to calculate the quick ratio here. So quick ratio, as we know, is given by your quick assets divided by your current liabilities, right? And quick assets is nothing but your current assets minus your stock, right? Or as we called inventory, right? So it was simple question. 8 lakh minus 3 lakh, which is 5 lakh, divided by 4 lakh, which will give you the quick ratio of 1.25 times. We have done so many questions related to this topic. You will find them in MCQ booklets, you will find them in chapter tests, you will find them in class discussions, you will find them in notes. So as you can see, we had covered that multiple times. It is one of the most important ratios that is being asked in exam over and over. Next question was related to IND AS 36, which asked about when should an asset be declared as impaired, right? When the recoverable amount is equal to the carrying amount, when the recoverable amount is greater than the carrying amount, or when the recoverable amount is less than the carrying amount, when the asset is certified as impaired by the management, or when it is fully depreciated. The correct answer is C over here, when the recoverable amount is less than the carrying amount. This is very, very clearly written in the Ind AS 36 related to impairment of assets. And this will also clarify the confusion that students keep asking whether they should study accounting standards or Indian accounting standards. You can see in the exam they have referred to Indian accounting standards. Again, something which we kept saying again and again, implementation is complete except for the banks. Therefore, one should study the Ind AS, and that's what we do in our course also. Again, similar question in our 300 question series was also covered, and of course we have it in our MCQ booklet. We have discussed it in our classes. We have discussed it in our various revision notes. Moving to the third question, which company is required to prepare consolidated accounts? Every holding company, every subsidiary company, every listed company, every associate company, or every joint venture company. The correct answer here is every holding company. We have seen confusion in some students. Some have even selected every listed company, thinking that listed companies are mandatorily required to comply with different accounting standards and accounting requirements. But please understand, consolidation only happens when you have any subsidiary or associate or joint venture to add their accounts also to your own. Yes, so therefore it is a holding company. Even if a listed company does not have any subsidiary, joint venture or associate, there is nothing to consolidate, right? So listed is not the answer. The correct answer is holding company. Again, something which we have been discussing in different questions and are even notes and videos. Next question, in context of accounting principles, on what basis are financial accounts generally prepared to ensure accuracy and completeness? Very simple and direct question. The answer is D, double entry bookkeeping. So dual aspect ensures that you are not making any mistake. Again, something very much covered in questions, covered in notes, covered in classes, covered in various discussions. Next question related to cash flow. A very, very simple question. They had given examples and asked which of the example is an investing activity, right? So the cash flow has three kinds of activities. Operating activities, cash flow from operating, from investing, and financing. And investing is related to any that the company uses to acquire any asset or get away from any asset, right? So here the purchase of machinery was the correct answer. Coverage, you can see that we had it very well done, both in questions and classes and notes. Last question that came from the account segment was related to fund flow, and a limitation of the fund flow statement was asked. Various statements was given. One of the statements was related to whether it can determine the cash flow or the cash position of the company. So that is incorrect, because the cash position of the company is given by the cash flow statement, okay, and not the fund flow statement. Fund flow statement helps to understand the liquidity position by understanding how the working capital has moved, okay, what have been the sources of funds and what have been the uses of funds. This was again discussed in a live discussion by understanding the difference between the cash flow and the funds flow statement. Let's move on to the costing segment now. One of the questions related to the royalty paid on the production to the state government should be classified under which head? The correct answer is direct expense. Some of the students have been confusing it with whether it should be production overhead, or they had factory overhead kind of a question options also. The correct answer is direct expense, because these royalties are a part of the production, directly related to the production, and therefore it will be considered as a direct expense. An exact question with only the difference that the state government word was not used was in our MCQ booklet, as you can see over here. Lean systems, as I said, we got 2 questions from the lean systems. A very easy one, full form of TPM was asked. TPM is one of the lean system methods, which stands for total productive maintenance, where it talks about how regular maintenance, different types should be done to ensure continuity of the production process, and that there are no breakdowns happening or slowdown in the production process, right? So again, a very, very important lean system, and this again have been covered in our different questions, notes, class discussions, even in our 300 question series that has been asked and talked about again and again. A question related to it was a conceptual question, although asked in the form of numbers. If the PV ratio is the profit and volume ratio, is 30%, what does the remaining 70% represent? Many of the students have related and written it as profit. That is not correct. It is actually variable cost. Okay, that is the variable cost. That's why because we compare variable sales price, variable cost, to understand what the contribution is, right? So here the profit reflects the contribution, which is the difference between the sales and the variable cost. So the remaining 70% is basically reflecting the variable cost, right? So this was also discussed in various questions. This understanding of the concept was also discussed, not just calculation, but if we get this answer, what does it really mean, has also been discussed by Pratik sir in various of his class lectures, MCQs, revision notes, and videos. As you can see, in every format this has been done. Next question related to ABC costing. ABC costing, what is the underlying basis for allocation of cost? The correct answer here is the cost object. Okay, the cost object, which is a separate measurement of cost, is required, and that is considered in case of the ABC, which is activity based costing, that is done. Okay, again we had questions and understanding of this concept covered, although this is not directly a part of the syllabus, but we understand it is a very, very important aspect of overall costing, and therefore we include such aspects in our discussions, in our practice questions, in our explanations of certain topics. Next question, basics of a costing. Basic of different costs that needs to be understood. What is the cost determined before production begins, right? These are called the predetermined cost. Okay, so predetermined costs basically refer to the cost which are estimated in advance. So when we are starting the production, you are budgeting and estimating what the different cost will be. So these are called the predetermined cost. We had a same question indirectly being in the opposite sense, like asking to describe what a predetermined cost is in our MCQ booklet, and different terms related to cost, because different terms related to cost is one aspect that have been asked in the past. So when we are making questions, when we are making notes, when we are making videos, that's also what we keep in mind. What is the trend? What is the pattern? That is also what the understanding we do when we make our content crisp for your 50% faster preparation. Next question is, standard costing is based on which of the following, right? So standard costing is actually based on predetermined cost, because that forms the basis. They become the standards against which the actual costs are compared, what we do in variance analysis, right? So that is the basis, not the actual cost or the historic cost, right? They may be used to predetermine the cost, but they don't form the basis of standard costing, right? So that is what standard costs are. They are the predetermined cost or the target cost or the standard cost against which the actual costs are compared and measured to understand whether the company is efficiently working or not. Last question related to costing was a lean systems question. A subset of just-in-time and lean system is what, right? The correct answer here was related to cellular manufacturing, because cellular manufacturing is based on the concept of just-in-time, right? So that is again very, very clearly explained, and even a similar question was covered in one of our mock tests. as you can see over here, mock test 7. Okay, very clearly written in our notes also. It is a subset of just-in-time and lean system is cellular manufacturing. Moving to the finance segment. 11 questions had come from here, but they were very easy. 3 questions, as I said, were from understanding of regulatory bodies itself, right? Finance, first question is what I'm discussing, the numerical, very easy numerical. Bond face value 100, coupon rate 10%, current price 80. What is the current yield? Now, current yield relates to the current price, but the only mistake students could have done is 10% they are calculating on what, right? So 10%, a coupon rate is always calculated on face value, not the market value. So that is the only error which anybody could have done. So we will take 10%, which is the coupon rate on face value, which is basically 10. So 10 you will divide by current market price 80, and that will give you 12.5%, which is the current yield of this particular bond. So if you had simple understanding of what current yield is, you will be able to calculate. Similar question we have done in classes also. We had provided an MCQ booklets also. Moving to, and of course in the notes, the entire concept of current yield with the help of examples has also been explained. Moving to the next question. This question many people found as a unique question. However, I'm very proud to say that we had already covered this kind of aspect, understanding, because when we are covering, we understand every conceptual aspect that a person should be aware about. So they had asked about the day count convention which are used in the money market and the bond market instruments. The correct answer here is, in case of money market, actual by 365 is used, and in the bond market or in the long-term market of the bonds, 30 by 360 is used. So this is a convention in the Indian debt market, which even RBI specifies. Again, something we had covered as an understanding while discussing the various money market instruments that one should know. And this was done in contention with discussing about how T-bills yields are calculated, right? So this concept of count convention was discussed very directly in our course. Who regulates? Here we come to the regulatory bodies related questions. Who regulates microfinance institutions in India? So if you had been practicing and understanding well, microfinance is a type of NBFC, right? NBFC, which is there, and all NBFCs except for a few which are exceptions are regulated by RBI. The correct answer of this is RBI, and I'll tell you how we had been doing in our live classes. We actually had an activity based classes where we took approximately 40 words, various words related to financial systems, financial markets, financial instruments, and discussed in detail what do they relate to, who is regulating them, where does whose jurisdiction supervision comes into place. So if you can notice over here, microfinance institutions was one such that we had discussed, that it is a type of an NBFC and RBI is doing that. So this activity class that we had done, you can see this is room 4. We had a very interactive class. 4 breakout rooms we had done, and students were working in teams to understand and recognize the regulatory body. So very fun activity, and if students had done this with us, all 3 questions would have been a cakewalk. Which of the following is considered the least risky security? A very, very easy question, I will say, that was there. Least risky is the gilts. Gilts is the government security. So government securities are the safest. There is no risk of default being happening here. And you get a fixed interest or coupon income here, right? Similar type of understanding of risk in different markets, different instruments has been there in our course. InvITs, infrastructure investment trust, are regulated by whom? SEBI is the correct answer. I had been talking about this, that some question on InvITs, some question on REITs, and some question on AIFs should come, because this has been the focus area for SEBI for some time now. I was not expecting, to be honest, such an easy question to be asked, but yes, this was an easy question. And again, as I said, we had been doing all these discussions, the same class where we had these instruments being talked about, REITs, InvITs, SEBI is, if you can see, SEBI is regulating all these. They are a kind of AIF subcategories that you can talk about. A money market question, a market where maturity period is 2 to 14 days is called what? Okay, so it's a subtype of money market. Money market also has three aspects. It could be a call money market, notice market, or a term market. The correct answer here is notice market, right? So these are three types of market within the money market, which are all less than 1 year. Similar questions, similar class discussions have been done in our content, talking about all these three aspects also. Another question related to regulation and supervision. NABARD is not a regulatory body, but it is a supervisory body. It is technically an AIFI, All India Financial Institution, looking into the finance and development of the agriculture and rural areas in India. So which ones are they supervising? They supervise cooperative, basically rural cooperative, and within that district central cooperative banks also come. So they are being supervised in addition to regional rural banks, right? So if you have understood NABARD well, then this question was something that you could easily do, right? So they have supervisory roles, not regulatory roles. Regulatory role remains with RBI. Supervisory roles are with NABARD for cooperative banks, except for urban cooperative banks, which have been directly brought under RBI, and regional rural banks. The Reserve Bank of India issues state bonds in consultation with Ministry of Finance and okay, so here some students were getting confused between DIPAM and Niti Aayog. Actually, Ministry of Finance and the initial discussion of this related to it coming from the Planning Commission, okay? But if you are aware, in 2015, the Planning Commission was replaced by Niti Aayog. So here the correct answer would be Niti Aayog and not DIPAM, because Ministry of Finance has already been mentioned in this, right? So in finance, this was the only question whose direct coverage I may have not found. However, if we have been part of different discussions related to Niti Aayog, related to understanding of RBI functions, in other detailed discussions related to RBI and all, a student may be aware about this, or you may have not been able to do or make a simple guess over here. Next question related to the commercial paper and what is the minimum net worth eligible over here, right? So in January 2024, actually RBI had revised, and maybe that's why they asked this question. Many students actually we missed to give one of the options as 4 crore. Many of the students have taken 4 crore as the answer, which is incorrect. 4 crore was the limit long time back, right? And from some time, I think almost 2-3 years now, the minimum requirement has been 100 crores, right? So the correct answer was 100 crores and not 4 crores, if any of you have mentioned that. Okay, this was again covered by us in detail when we were discussing the money market instruments, who are the eligible issuers, and these have been, these guidelines had been reviewed and sent again by RBI in January 2024. The next question related to a direct question of asking the definition of a forward rate agreement, right? Some students may have got confused between forward and forward rate agreement. Forward rate agreement works like a swap, okay? So like a interest rate swap, right? But if you remember from discussions in our various lectures, swaps are, in a bunch of forward contracts, right? So when the rate or the interest rate is being fixed or swapped against fixed to floating, it is a forward rate agreement that is being done over here, right? So again, discussions of this we have done in class in detail. They are over the counter, okay? So that's the most important feature that you should have concentrated on while going through this question. Next question related to what is the purpose of International Organization of Securities Commission, or the ISCO. All the financial markets regulators, even financial system regulators in certain countries, the central banks, which is in that case, are members of ISCO, which is the international organization that sets global standards related to securities, right? So that's why Securities Commission is why they call this, right? So in our course, again, we have a separate note on ISCO itself, which tells about the role of this particular international agency. Moving to the economics segment. Many students have been scared about. However, it was a very simple, direct questions that came from here. First question related to the formula for calculating the per capita income. Per capita income means per person's income in a country. So it is calculated by your total national income divided by your total population. Okay, it is also reflective of how the growth in the national income has distributed over the population of the country, right? So in notes and questions, we have been discussing about the concept of per capita income, as you can see over here. Next question was the meaning of stagflation. This question has come in the past also. I'm forgetting the year, either 20 or 22, but this question has come in the past also. Stagflation is one of the very, very important inflation concepts that have been discussed. So it is a period of high inflation with high unemployment. Okay, so now two aspects are working here. Not just inflation is hurting, but also unemployment, right? So that is what we mean by stagflation. Same question we had in a 300 question series also. ISLM model defines which market? Okay, so it relates to both the money and the goods market. Very direct question. Again, something which we had in a 300 question series also. In the very first page introduction about the ISLM in our notes, and we had some questions related to this in our MCQ booklet also. Next question, very easy. Lot of students confused and made mistake over here. Which economic concept describes the relationship between price of good and the quantity? Some of you have mentioned it as elasticity. It is not elasticity. It is demand, simple demand, nothing else. That is what typically a demand curve or the demand schedule or demand specifies. Again, we had questions on this. We have discussed it in even videos, notes. If you can see, demand is defined as a schedule that shows the amount of a product or service the consumer is willing or able to purchase and the price. Okay, so that is what a demand is all about. It was not elasticity. Next question was economic measure. Measure represents the total value of goods and services in a country's domestic territory, that is given by GDP. A very direct, easy question. Simple concept of GDP was directly asked over here. Simplest question on market structures could have been asked. Feature of perfect competition, and the most important perfect competition was asked, that is large number of buyers and sellers. Same question we have done. Similar kind of question we've also got in the past papers. Last question from economics. Which of the following describes structural unemployment? Okay, the correct answer here is unemployment due to current skills becoming outdated. So the gap between skills and the jobs that the employment is offering, that is called structural employment. When the fit between the skills a person has and the job requirement is there, that is called structural unemployment, something which the country is facing and the government is trying to work. And therefore, if you would have heard about the current budget, the government is also trying to fill that through various skilling schemes, right? So this was one question which I will say is there in our RBI course, but given the focus was not on in the SEBI, we had not done it directly. But if you have been preparing for various exams, you would have been able to do this particular question also. Companies Act 100% coverage we have received so many messages also from the students how each question was there. First question, age limit, very direct factual question. Either you knew it or you did not know it. Age limit for the appellate tribunal's chairman, which is 70 years. Okay, we had same question done in our 300 question series, class discussions, various coverage you can see in the PDF by downloading it. The time limit for making an appeal for NCLAT, the correct answer is 45 days. Okay, a very direct question, expected question, a factual question, right? Next question, securities issued in dematerialized form, they have to comply with provisions of which of the act? The correct answer is depositories. Okay, so again, we have been discussing about this. If I talk about how we have been telling and how we include different discussions, right? So apart from just simply covering the syllabus, any related topic, any related information from the SEBI side, we always include in our class discussions, in our MCQs, in our notes, which you can see. We talked about dematerialization very separately, how it is covered, and a requirement as per the Depository Act also. Section 186 of Companies Act is not applicable on whom? It is not applicable on loans to directors. Why? Because that is separately discussed under Section 185. Right? So that is not covered under 186 directly. 186 is talking about the loans and investments that a company can do. Under which condition is the issuance of shares at a discount exempted? A lot of students have made a mistake in this also. Many of you have selected ESOP as the answer. ESOP is incorrect. The exception is only for two, either a sweat equity or when the creditors you are issuing to them under some resolution plan or debt restructuring scheme which is approved, only then, right? So many students confused ESOP with sweat or thought they are same and therefore marked this. This is incorrect. ESOPs and sweat are not the same. They are different types of issuances and they should not be used interchangeably. Okay, so the correct answer is here. The creditors, the shares that you issue to creditors in pursuance of any resolution plan or restructuring plan that has been approved. Okay, so this was also covered and discussed in our notes and classes. The lock-in period for sweat equity, it is 3 years, a factual direct question. If you had read it, you will know it, right? So it is a very, very important point. That's how we make summaries in pictorial forms and easy to remember forms so that you can remember and revise them quickly and prepare 50% faster. Next question, typical time frame for shareholders who must subscribe to rights issue, it is 7 to 30 days. Okay, 7 to 30 days. Again, as I said, we provide additional information which are important from SEBI's point of view, and you can see the notice for offer, issue period, who it is given to, all was covered in our notes and class discussions. Here you can see even in class discussions it has been discussed in detail. Another factual question from dividend. I keep saying this is one of the favorite topics, different days. Okay, days in which it has to be sent to the IEPF fund, to the unpaid dividend account, credited to the bank account. All these timelines are very important, and some or the other question every year is asked. This time they asked within how many days of declaring and remaining unpaid should the money be transferred to the unpaid dividend account. The correct answer is 7 days. Right? Next question. What is the minimum time period required for giving notice of a board meeting? Very direct question. Correct answer again is 7 days. Okay. Same question we have covered multiple times. Whose approval is required for removal of an auditor? It is the central government. This question in some another form has also been asked in the past. Okay. So very, very loved question, loved topic of SEBI. This is asked again and again, and that's what been repeating. The eligibility and the removal of auditors is some of the most loved, recurring asked topic by SEBI. Next question related to which type of director may a listed company appoint under section 151. This relates to a small shareholders director that can be appointed by a company. We had different questions related to it in our MCQ booklets, even in our class discussions of various important questions. Okay, coming to the last segment, the management. Direct questions were there, not too much twisted questions, I will say this time. What type of leadership involves a leader who can change the perception, behavior, and expectations of followers and direct them towards a common goal? The answer is transformative leader. Transformative leader shows the bigger vision to the people and leads by example, right? So these were some keywords you had to look for, and you would have been very easily be able to do this question. Next question, which type of barrier occurs when individuals have varying perspectives related to diverse backgrounds? Correct answer is cultural barriers, the cultural differences that people may have, because of which there may be communication barrier. Okay, next question, which school of management focuses on teaching concepts related to transforming global impact, right? So this is related to the contemporary or the modern school of thinking, right? So that is what this relates to. This is, again, we had covered something in detail in our notes and discussions in live classes. Management function, one of the, again, most recurring topic. What is the management function that involves coordinating human efforts and resources to achieve organizational goals? This is organizing, not planning. Organization is the execution aspect. So coordinating that the plan goes as per things are executed as per the plan, and there is coordination being done, that is falling under organization, not under planning. Next question, what is the process called that involves identifying and improving the skills of individuals for promotion and organizational development? It is called potential appraisal, right? So for future, one is appraisal done on the past, that is called the performance appraisal. The other is based on past and understanding how a person is capable of doing it, that is the potential, understanding the capability, the future capability, and that is what is covered under potential appraisal. Next question, what role does a leader play when they select the best course of action from multiple alternatives? From the given points, they had not given the nomenclature as used by Henry Mintzberg, but different, right? So, but if you understand the entire idea behind those words, you would have been able to easily do it. The correct answer is decision maker, right? Or, in other words, the entrepreneur that we use in the Henry Mintzberg system of 10 roles. Okay, so when they select the best course of action, that is taking a decision, and that is why it is a decision maker. Okay, so different terminologies, different types of roles, this kind of discussions we have done in various live sessions using different terminology apart from the Mintzberg's 10 management roles. Next question, what is the term of process related to starting and ending of a work? This is called scheduling. You schedule the entire starting and the end of the work. This was the correct answer. And the last question, what is the term of competencies measured by organizations to define and assess the technical and the specialized abilities required for specific roles? The correct answer is functional competencies. These two questions were not directly, I will say, I was able to locate, but as I keep saying in management, through a lot of discussions, things have been coming out. So when we're talking about the organizational structure, where we discussed in detail how the organizations are structured as per functional lines, as per matrix system, if you have been paying attention, you would have been able to easily come out at this. And that is the beauty of management. You have to understand and use them at different points, right? So those were the 50 questions, the detailed discussion question wise that I have done over here. And I hope you found this useful. As I stated, you can download this entire PDF and you want to refer it again for now, for future, for phase 2, because this is also going to be helpful for phase 2. We have the same syllabus. And to remind you again, tomorrow we are doing a free workshop to talk about phase 2 strategy. So please don't forget to join that. And don't delay your preparation for phase 2. Start now. There is a generic cutoff, and therefore you should not waste any time. Thank you so much for watching and wishing you all the best.